Hello everyone, today's hobby video is an unboxing video of Lord Castellan Ursala Creed and the Astra Militarum Heavy Weapons team. Now, both of these kits were released in line with the 9th edition codex, which came out in December of 2022, so last year, and they are brand new models using the new Cadian style uniform and armour. And to be honest, these are massive upgrades on what they used to be. And if you're a bit of a veteran, you obviously know this is an upgrade on the old kit. And the female Castellan here, Ursala Creed, is the daughter of the now dead Ursala Creed, the hero of Cadian. Now, money and points wise, this is 55 points and this is 60 points as per the 10th edition rule points, as at July of 2023. They're all going to change probably. And this is £27.50 and £30. So typical GW style is to basically cost up individual heroes quite expensive for what they are plastic wise, but the pricing does seem to sort of make sense. 55 points, 60 points, £27.50 and £30. Of course, if you'd ask me the value of this in the overall scheme of the world and the money we pay today, they're not worth it, but of course they are awesome miniatures if you can afford them. Okay, so let's look at the actual boxes. What's in the boxes themselves? There's a plonk these on the floor. All right, Ursala Creed. It's a single sprue, and to be honest, just like everything that GW are producing these days, it's very good quality. The amount of mold lines that are visible are minimal, and actually probably has me thinking, and I'm no expert here, that they're probably actually 3D printing all their miniatures, and if they are, great, because the quality really has jumped forward. I think the only real key things to call up with the actual miniature itself is that the base is quite elaborate. You can probably see in the little instructions here, it's a very elaborate base, including a stand, like a banner, a regimental sort of standard almost, which definitely could be used elsewhere, maybe with more of a heroic style regimental standard in your command squad. But you can see it's a very detailed sort of setup for the actual base that she's using. Now on the base, this actually surprised me, is actually it's a very big base. Don't actually have the dimensions in front of me, but if we compare it to a command squad miniature, Mr. Medic Man, you can see it's bigger than the actual command squad. So she is a proper sort of got a big hero base, and you know this is good as far as extending any auras. So a current 12-inch aura, you've got a couple extra millimeter, and sometimes in the game extra bits always count here, because you compare it to a normal dude, you can see how much bigger the base is. Yeah, but it's just a bit of a minor point. So the only real call I've got to say here is I think the base is really quite nice, and as I said, you could probably actually just not use this sort of banner thing, use it for a command squad miniature. You probably also know she comes with two head options. The one with the goofy helmet, it looks frankly ridiculous, looks very poorly, I don't know, looks like an old-fashioned like German helmet, or you got her with her hair being shown off, and actually comes with a spare helmet being here, but they actually say to model the helmet on the ground, which is a bit strange because very poor discipline having her helmet sat in the ground whilst it could be attached to a belt or etc. So yeah, pretty basic that one, but definitely it's a very good quality kit. The base is probably the standout, and this awesome banner thing here. Okay, next on to the heavy weapon team or squad. Now firstly you get the transfers. Nothing really crazy, but these are an upgrade obviously on the old ones, and crucially, as I've noticed, is actually the old transfer sheets had different ones you could use compared to this sort of donation here. Had like diamonds and clubs you could use, which I actually used a lot of diamonds, but now I've just got to use simply these markers here. So obviously you have the number of the regiment you choose, or the company or the battalion, etc. And then this is to donate like their corps. So this is obviously like to donate, like they're all infantry Cadian style dudes. Okay, now for your £30 you get a lot of plastic compared to obviously what we saw before with Ursala Creed. You don't get much, but the obvious thing to say here is all the heavy weapon options, you get 3 of each. So just like the old kit, you're going to have a lot of spares left over. And definitely something for me to think about in another video is how you can actually make multiple different, I think I better get 9 from 3 kit, from like 1 kit, 9 individual sort of teams set up. But this of course includes the autocannon, las cannon, heavy bolter, mortars, and a heavy bolter. Now definitely, as we sort of just quickly look at this, is the first thing that jumps out to me is the look and feel, particularly of the missile launcher, the mortar, and also the heavy bolter, have been really sort of modernized. So what I mean by that is they actually look, again, in comments, realistic, which is a big step forward, because if you remember the old ones, they look frankly quite cartoonish, but they were made 20 years ago, so let's be fair. Yeah, as we flick through, I think, yeah, just even things like having used heavy weapons in the military, I fired direct fire support weapons and also the heavy 50 cal, is the way the tripod is set up looks very plausible, the way it's sort of been established. Likewise, if I flick over to the mortar tube, if it's in here, which I'll look at in a sprue in a second as well, is that the mortar base, I can get to it here, that is very realistic. Actually, all mortars actually have like a big cylinder base. And likewise also is the missile launcher as well. The way that sort of back blast thing operates is exactly how. This looks a lot like the Carl Gustaf 84mm missile launcher I used a lot, with a big sort of blasting point there. Okay, so very detailed set of instructions. As I said, you can make, you've got 5 different weapon choices, and you can make, plug and play with enough bodies to basically make 3. So, okay, so basically they've split the bodies, which I think is the key discussion point across this 2 sprues. Now, having counted all the legs, there are 12 individual legs, giving you, of course, 6 sets of kneeling legs, which is very good. You then have corresponding 6 bodies or 6 torsos, and I think you have about, I think you've got about 3 or 4 spare rucksacks, because they've actually got some rucksacks, like this one here and this one here, are modelled into the guy's back, versus, say, there's a Voxcaster there, which could definitely be used in other kits as a bit of variety. And another one, I think, rather, yeah, okay, so this big rucksack is modelled individually, and likewise this one here. So some really nice heavy-duty looking rucksacks, which you could definitely use on just your normal dudes, yeah, for a bit of variety. Now, head-wise, I believe you get 8. You get 6 with the dudes with the helmets on, and again, there's some variety here. And I think, to be fair, across all the kits, you've got so much variety now, including also the Cadian upgrade sprue, so you just got your sport for choice for heads. But interestingly, they give you also some dudes with hats on, and a lady as well, a lady leader. And I believe these are meant to represent sort of sergeants. And the way it's sort of modelled up in the photography is the sergeants with little heads. They have got like sergeant stripes on their uniform. I don't know if I actually can find it that quickly here, but also they're meant to I'll be operating, let's say, the radio, all the binoculars here. So there's a lot of nice detail in this, and again, there's so many bits and pieces to obviously assemble. First, the heavy weapons, which you can plug and play. I've got the heavy bolter here. You've got the auto cannon, you've got the las cannon, you've got the massive charge pack somewhere, where the charge packs for the las cannon looking very nice. Missile launcher components, and the mortar tube components here, with the base plates, where they've been here, and the missile shield cover thing here as well. There are some bits and pieces which I think will give you some opportunity, such as, say, a little bedroll is here. They've got also another bedroll. I said the back, but the spare rucksacks, they're very nice. They could look at some other stuff as well. And of course, you've got the individual sort of arms. My favourite by far is this signal flare gun. I mean, yeah, well, if they're using flares still in the 40th millennium as a way to illuminate the area and don't have night vision, God help the Imperium, but very cool to see, a signal flare gun. And then, I don't know where these go, but these sighting systems look very, very realistic yet again. So some really nice detail going into this kit, and having used heavy weapons, it really feels like it really sort of paints a proper picture about what it'll be like for these guys to be shooting their version of weapons in the distant far future. Even nice things like the ammo box for I was going to call it a 50 cal, the heavy bolter as the rounds exposed, and also the big fat spare drums for the autocannon. So a really, I have to be honest, it's a very nice kit. I think one bummer with the new models is definitely to say that there's a lot more detail on them, which is fantastic, but it means a lot more work. I'm finding painting up, I've got a couple of spares, like, I've done a couple of guys over I'm a very slow painter, but doing these new miniatures with all the extra webbing and the belt systems takes so much more time than the old ones. But when the result's done, they look absolutely fantastic, obviously. So I think definitely, with the way the meta's shaping up for Guard and 10th edition, we're just going to be mostly artillery car parks, and mortars at 60 points are a very good, very sort of effective way of getting rid of chaff units that you come across. And from a modelling point of view, of course, you've got 6 heads, as I said, 3 spare backpacks. What I often actually did is I would put the gunner obviously kneeling, or the dude feeding the mortar tube kneeling, then have his compadre actually standing up to add a bit of variety. But yeah, really nice. And you can see actually there's the sergeant stripes on the baseball cap wearing individuals. So yeah, so look across the 2 kits. I'll get the solo out as well. Some really nice work here, I have to say. GW, to all their credit, have made some very nice miniatures. So £27.50, not cheap for this bit of plastic, but that's the way they cost things, is based on really points value. And then for 4 times as much plastic, an extra £2.50 in the UK, you're getting obviously 60 points worth of miniatures across 3 for 60 mil bases, I think they are. And as reference, or 50 mil bases, these used to be a little bit bigger. But again, as reference, you can see Ursala Creed, a command squad chap, and then a single dude. So a lot of base size now coming into the Astra Militarum infantry style models. But yep, hopefully interesting. Just cool to see the kits in the flesh if you haven't already bought them, because these have been out now for 7 or 8 months. But yeah, hopefully enjoyable. Any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this and want to support me, you can do so by like, comment, or by subscribing, joining my Patreon platoon, or simply watching any of my other YouTube videos. To get your bayonet sharp, las gun oiled. Faith for the Emperor strong. Patreon platoon, sound off.
Tank Commander Glenn. Tank Commander Watchdog Van Etten. Tank Commander Mitchell. Colour Sergeant DuPont. Sergeants Adal, the Colonel Merrill. Veteran Gibson, Hall, Lundeen. Guardsman Beard, Coquelin, Flint, Hills, Malik, Nitton, Nguyen, Smith, Tom, Tompkin. Conscript England, Gilliam, Goodwin.